right, please stand and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. At this time, I'll call the regular school board meeting for Independent School District number 544 to order. And our first item of business is to establish our quorum.
Ellie Colton.
Here.
Blaine Danielson here. Matt Lemke.
Here.
Steve Bigsaw.
Here.
Alec Wilson. Melissa Hermes absent. We have a quorum.
All right, thank you very much. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Any discussion on the agenda? All in favor of approving, say aye.
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 Opposed, say nay. All right, the agenda is approved. And for our acknowledgement, we'd like to thank Alan and Barbara Dogger for their monetary donation to the music department in memory of Lee Leverson. And a thank you to Heather Heikes for her donation of a trombone to the music department at Kennedy Secondary School. So thanks for the contributions. We will move into our reports for the evening. And we're going to begin with Deb Suter and students to talk to us about France and Spain from last spring or early summer. So, Ms. Suter, welcome.
Thanks for having us here tonight. We just wanted to share some of the great experiences that we had along our trip. This marks my 8th student tour. And many of you know that my emphasis is on students experiencing culture and opportunities to use the language. So it very much reinforces what we do in the classroom. I always like to pick a couple words to describe my groups. This one, there were 2, compatible and adventuresome. Oh, a third one, energetic. So here's some examples. When we arrived in Paris, they did not stop until what would be comparable to 5 a.m. So we went all day, all night, till what would be like 5 a.m. And they did not complain at all. They knew that was their opportunity to take a boat ride on the Seine River and to be there when the lights came up on the Eiffel Tower. They did not want to miss a moment. Compatible, they supported each other. It was a group of 9, so I had 2 sophomores, 6 juniors, and 1 senior who is now at NDSU. Energetic, in the course of 9 days, we logged 123,003 steps, which is about 58 miles. So some magical moments for me were when that Eiffel Tower lit up, I think the last night in Barcelona. And I really was proud of them. When we came to a bakery in Paris, I took one of them into the bakery. I said, we are going to order a loaf of bread in French. And Brooke is here, she did it. And then we came out and we ate that fresh bread. Of course, it wasn't like you practice it because the salesperson said in French, well, they're not ready yet. I'll have some warm ones for you in about 5 minutes. But we could, Brooke could figure that out. And before I forget, I do want to say thank you to the school board for supporting us, for letting us be there, the administrators, the fundraising. We did a lot of fundraising to help with our extras. So Sheila Dahl for doing all that extra work, and Elaine for helping with the notary that we needed to have. So I think I'll hand it over first to Maddie. And you can come on up here. I'll stay here and you can just tell about what you...
Start with your name, Maddie, okay?
Okay, my name is Maddie Eastwood, and one of my favorite memories is when we walked around the corner, we saw the Eiffel Tower. We weren't expecting to see it, like we weren't told that we were going to be seeing it that day at all. And then we just came around the corner of a building and there it was, and we were all amazed. That was one of my favorite memories, yes.
My name's Angel Giese, and one of my favorite memories was going to Arcachon, where we saw the Dune du Pilat, and it's 110 meters high. Is it meters? And it's 500 meters this way and from like east to west. And when I walked up it with like no shoes on and the sand in my toes, and it was amazing. I like the feeling.
I'm Rylan Hansen. My favorite experience from the trip was going to a little town called Biarritz, where I stopped by a local library and talked to the bookkeeper about what I should buy, and she recommended a great book series, but I've been working on it, trying to translate to English, but it's been a journey, but it's pretty good so far.
Cool.
I'm Brooke Gilland. One of my favorite memories was when we were swimming at the beach in Barcelona. I think we were in the Mediterranean Sea. Yeah, it was really, really fun because I like the beach, but I don't go there often.
You want to show them what you have there?
And I have a journal that I was making, documenting like some of the stuff I did, so I'll like remember it.
And how many pages do you have on there?
At least like 12 so far.
It's
Nice.
in process. But
Yeah.
So is this something you started doing afterward as you recall what you did?
I was mostly doing it like on the bus rides from place to place when everyone else is sleeping.
Cool.
Very cool.
And how did the Mediterranean Sea compare to, say, Otter Tail Lake?
Well, it was salty. But I got some really cool rocks from the beach.
And are you the person who ordered the French bread?
Yeah.
And that didn't throw you for too much of a loop then, when they didn't just say yes and hand it to you?
No, I understood like most of what she was saying. So I just like said okay and waited there for it.
Good.
we did one experience at the Arc de Triomphe. They wouldn't allow us to go up because we were a group, even though we were small. So I was to the side and the guard came over to Brooke and Maddie and asked them in French, how old are you? And they responded. And then they said, well, you're just not old enough to go alone. So, that she was able to use her conversation there. Did you want to ask any other questions of?
How was the jet lag? How did that? Because it's how many hours difference is it from here to there? Would you say?
7 hours.
Okay, so
Yeah.
how do you deal with the jet lag? Is there a trick to it, or is it?
We were like falling asleep by the end of the first day.
Yeah.
I mean, we stayed up until we were completely done and everything, and when we were back in our hotel, I think all of us were like instantly out.
Yeah.
And then waking up the next morning, we did not want to get up.
That's where I'm pounding on the door is gap.
So is this making you guys, anybody on the trip, is it making anybody wanting to continue the French studies like in college? Maybe a change in colleges or anything? Has anybody mentioned anything like that, or is it?
I think we talked about some of them came back and said, oh, I wish I was taking French this year, after we'd had that experience.
Mhm.
But we haven't had that kind of data about the future.
Mhm.
I think the focus of the trip is to get a taste of travel, so you have that confidence, the cultural differences and the confidence to be successful abroad.
Mhm.
And then to go back and go to the top of the Eiffel Tower and the top of the Arc de Triomphe, because they won't say you can't go up.
Right.
Did
So-
you enjoy the food?
Who ate snails?
Some yes. and-
Oh,
I ate snails.
So on day 2, I was like, we have to do this, 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 and this. And Rylan said, I can hardly wait to have a French meal. And that was half of our day, we said, but it was fun. We had a French waiter and we tried all the creme brulee.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah, they're adventuresome. They wanted to try different things, so.
When you come back, you don't want to have any more bread.
It just doesn't taste the same, does it?
No. Tell them about Zaragoza, though.
Go ahead, Riley.
Hmm.
The buffet. where do you start?
Exactly. I can't even remember the entire selection of what was there. And
Everything.
everything you could ever want. There were pastry bars, and then there were lots of French bread options, cheeses, fruits, a bunch of it locally made, locally sourced, and you could smell just the essence of France in that one area.
So,
It
And
it was a lot of fundraising, right, to get the opportunity to go and all that. So how many of you can just raise your hands, would recommend it to other students? Yeah, it's worth it? Good.
Cool.
This is more of a comment, I guess. I mean, for students in general, I mean, if you ever get opportunities, say, even the rest of high school or college, to go somewhere cool like this, definitely take that. If there's opportunities to study abroad, just to experience the world, and, it might change, it sounds kind of corny to say, but it might actually change your life and the trajectory where you go. Because once you become an adult, get married, have kids, it's a lot harder to do that kind of stuff. So do it while you're young, and I'm really glad that you guys chose to go on the trip and put the effort into the fundraising, and hopefully you can get more kids to go next year, or next time you go, I should say.
And we had such supportive parents. They did everything they could, to support the kids with extra jobs, extra service food receipts. I had a parent there, she had 2 of her children go, so Matt and Nicole came. And they were out helping us harvest. What was it we harvested? I can't remember. We were in the fields in October harvesting sunflowers. Yeah, and they were there helping do it as well. So yeah, it was.
Any problems with security or going through checking or anything at the airport? Or?
No, the only thing, not really. The only thing was it was real tight with our connections. So we learned a lot on that too. So we made them all, but it was very close. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Great. All right, tough act to follow there, Matt, then please.
Don't follow that one, you just go on your reports. Here we go. Minnesota High School League, they did not meet. They don't meet until October 4th, so I have nothing to report for them. But Lakes Country Service Co-op did meet in August. And one of the items that I thought I'd talk about that's kind of an exciting thing is the Lakes Country Service Co-op is embarking on being the first non-institution of higher education to be approved to offer teacher preparation in Minnesota under the revised alternative teacher preparation statute. And so one of the things that they're looking at is that there's definitely some needs out there for some, and what they're looking at is, in particular, is the careers in technical education and the licensures for that, and the difficulty to get that, because a lot of colleges just do not offer it. And so what they are trying to do is to be able to provide that. They're going through the process of getting approved by the Minnesota Professional Educator License and Standards Board, which is in itself very difficult to get approved. And so their vision for this is to be the first to be approved by they call it, I'll give you the PELSB, to be a leading provider in Minnesota on career and technical education licenses for educators that are looking to expand their licensure areas. Again, and some of the times that why a school district might do that is that there's additional funding that the state provides if you get a teacher license in certain areas. And then to be a leader not only in Minnesota but nationally on alternative teacher preparation through the service co-op model. And so it's kind of exciting. I thought it was kind of neat, and like I said, they're in the initial stages of being approved and trying to go through that, and I'm sure there'll be some learning, and they're going to start small and work from that. But I think it's definitely kind of an exciting thing that they're trying to work on, again, trying to meet needs that I think school districts around the area, especially in rural Minnesota, where it's difficult sometimes to get licensed teachers in certain areas to come, if they already have some that are already licensed, to get them licensed to teach certain subjects. So again, kind of an exciting thing. The other thing I was going to talk about He is their purchasing connection. They call it Express Online Marketplace. It's kind of like Amazon for co-ops, I guess is what I would say, because you do your purchasing through Amazon, not Amazon, excuse me, through this Express Online Marketplace, and they have seen a 25% increase from last year. And so one of the nice things about that is there are fees that are associated with it that the co-op does receive for providing the service, and they just went over $1 million.
Wow.
So, very neat. So, and that's kind of the two items that I wanted to speak on today.
All right. Any questions for Matt? Just a real quickie for the teacher training, would they do that, would they have like a bricks and mortar facility for that, or how would they?
That is going to be online. So it's going to be online is how they're going to provide it. And there's some unique things about it and getting trained and stuff like that. And but that's what I think they're going to look at is doing it online. That way you can go by pace. Again, it's by pace. So a teacher isn't, so a lot of times when you go to a school, a college, you're on the pace of whatever they're setting, where this is more of a pace of the actual teacher, professional going through the program. So again, I think it's to reduce the barriers for staff, for professional teachers to be able to increase their licensure, and trying to give another avenue to be able to do that. Maybe not as rigid as some colleges can be with that.
Okay. Cool. Any other questions for Matt? All right, Natalie Knudsen.
So the policy committee met in early August, and we talked about all those changes at our last board meeting, so I don't think I need to talk about that. The wellness committee meeting starts tomorrow for the school year. One thing that I'd just like to mention that will probably get brought up at the meeting tomorrow is the Thrive event that it's open to the community now. A big community resilience project that myself and Jason Bergstrand are leading. And staff from each school will be represented at the training, along with some students from Kennedy and the ALC. And that project is to provide tools to bring back to your workplace or bring back to your schools, and the two trainers that are coming from the cities that have done it in the school system say it makes a huge impact on the community by getting the teachers and the students involved as well. So that will be exciting to have them all there and see what comes of it.
What's the date on that?
September 25th, and it's open to the public. It's a free training, and I believe we have about 50 spots left. So if you want to come and you're not signed up, hop online and do that. It's really good.
All right. Any questions for Natalie? All right, for myself, for my board reports, Special Ed Co-op met today, and there's alternating years that the Department of Ed comes out and does physical observations of the spaces that we utilize, and so that's coming up this year. They'll make sure that the special ed services aren't tucked away in some dank corner. And our director, Shannon Erickson, had noted that we have really nice spaces for where our special education services are offered in our various member districts. And so that was kind of the highlight there. And we renewed the contract for the employee assistance program, which is a good value for the employees to use. For the Region 1 board, we talked a lot about synergy. We had that humongous uptick in school districts and student enrollment, and that just has been the topic for several months, and continue to discuss how the staffing has gone. The implementation's been a big deal. That's what's going on with that board. And then in terms of negotiations, we have a mediation session scheduled next week for the special ed paraprofessionals. And after that group resolves, there are likely going to be several other groups that will take that into consideration and seem to be on track to settle. And I think that's about it for mediation, is that correct?
Yeah,
Or
well,
for
for mediation,
negotiation.
but we have one individual too that we still have to deal with.
Okay, so getting close to having the contracts settled, and that's all the reports I have. Any questions? All right, we'll move on to Blaine Danielson.
Buildings and grounds, I think we're pretty much wrapping up everything for the new school year here. Just talking with Mark before the meeting. I think everything's pretty much a go over at Adams now. They've got everything worked out over there as far as getting it cooled down, and now, like Mark said, the next big thing will be is when it gets ready for heat, is the heat gonna work? So that'll be the next big thing. But so as far as building grounds, I think everything else is it's looking really good for the new school year. So meet and confer has not met. I would assume once the school year gets rolling here, something will probably get set up on that. And then 544, we will meet this coming Thursday. Big thing for them, I just want to say in advance, Friday night without our Pride Night, they'll be doing their taco in a bag, $5, so come up and get taco in a bag, and something to drink. And then also they will have the board up for the classroom wish list. They'll have that out here, so we encourage businesses and people in the community to come take a look at that and look and see if there's something interested in helping out and for all the different classrooms in their wish list. So that's all I got for that.
All right. Any questions for Blaine?
Matt, do you want to expand on our Pride Night? What is it?
Well, it's just kind of, it's just a kind of, I don't know if you want to say carnival, but it's more of a prep, you have a prep game before the football game. It's a carnival, so there's lots of games for the kids to play, and it's to support 544 Foundation with Taco in a Bag. And they also have, I think Otter Outlet will be there with some Otter clothes, so you can get some maroon and gold, and I know the PTO usually is there, and so they're there too to support our local PTO, and it's just kind of a fun family. And then also the House of Fun will be back from the fire department, so the bouncy house will be there for the kids to jump and slide down, and so it's just a good fun time. And I think a lot of times when you can have a community come together and it's clean fun, and it's just a good time, and I think families have a good time, the kids have a good time, and then we can go at 7 o'clock, the Otter football game starts, and we can cheer on the Otters as they play Detroit Lakes this Friday. And again, it starts at 5 o'clock and here at Kennedy at the Gold Gym.
Great. It's all cleverly designed to annoy the visiting football team. Because there's a lot of kids and a lot of maroon and gold and a lot of little rah-rah things.
I just want to say a big thank you to Matt too, for he's been in charge of that for quite a few years. So
Yeah.
just publicly acknowledging Matt and thank you for him for taking it by the horns and running with that every year. So.
That's good. All right, board reports from Stephen Biggessa.
Legislature's pretty quiet, hasn't met yet, but so there's not much to report there. However, there is a MSBA, Minnesota School Board Association Advocacy Tour meeting on the 20th, I believe, of September did I say? Yeah, it's the 20th.
Yep.
5:30 to 7:30. Basically, what they're going to be talking about is, policy and funding issues that impact school districts around the state. We talk about, the news concerning tiered licensure, Janus court decision, unrequested leave of absence, and more. And I'm assuming that a lot of the same things that are going to be in their agenda this year as they were last year, because not a lot actually really got done last year. Special ed funding is one. There's some things done for school safety, but I'm sure that's going to be another thing. Another thing that's kind of cool is actually we can, in a sense, lobby the lobbyists by submitting our own resolutions to the MSBA. If there's something that is super important, I do believe it doesn't have to be a school board member that submits it. It can be anyone. The Minnesota School Board Association MSBA website is a place that you can go if you are interested in submitting some ideas to the MSBA for lobbying this year. Just needs to be submitted by the 28th, and then the MSBA will debate and decide what the big issues are going to be on December 1st of this year. So I am going to do my best to make that meeting. in the midst of my kids' insane activity schedules. But that's pretty much it for me, just this meeting coming up on the 20th, so.
All right. Any questions for Stephen? Superintendent Ness?
Yes, there is a handout at your place looking like this, and that is related to student enrollment, and the news is good. Overall, we're 66 students increase in our bricks and mortar school, and 49 student increase overall when you count our online school, IQ Academy. And IQ is very difficult to predict where they're going to be at, but they're at a little bit under 500 right now. By the end of the year, they'll be over 700, so they'll be growing like crazy. But just going by building, we've increased from 389 to 405 at Cleveland, which is grades 3 and 4. At McKinley, we went from 249 to 258, and that's the increase mainly in that extra kindergarten section. And excuse me, Adams actually went down a little bit by 2 students, but this building here, Kennedy, went from 1398 to 1430, so 32 student gain in grades 5 through 12. And then our ALC also grew 11 students, so going from 71 to 82. And like we said, IQ Academy was 508 last year, 491 this year. But that's just a real positive for our district, continued growth. You'll look at these numbers in the lower elementary. You're looking at the 213 at McKinley for kindergarten, and just the continued strong 200, right around that 200 number. That continues to grow through 6th grade, and then in 7th and 8th we get the parochial schools. Typically, we get an increase there. So we are growing, and we have been planning for a few years now, getting ready for them. So we'll continue to plan, monitor, and adjust. Now that we have these numbers, we'll be able to tap into our long-term facility committee again and look at how do we prepare for next year and future years. And so that's enroll. I'll just answer any enrollment questions here before I jump just to a couple other things.
On the IQ Academy for last year, the 508 started, can you remember what we finished with?
It was 700.
Oh, okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah. So, but overall, just since the last meeting we had was the first day of our workshop, and just we really had a great fall in-service workshop for our teachers. We were able to do ACES training, which is Adverse Childhood Experiences. Tom Gonzalez from Brainerd. Literally, I had numerous staff members say they could have listened to him all day. He was very good. Brian Harris came in and did training then on, okay, we know the kids have ACEs. How do you work with the students? What are strategies? Again, and I had people saying he's the best speaker that we've ever had. So it was really, you hire people and you just don't know, and they just really hit a home run. I'll tell you, they were both very good. Our district meeting, I thought the day went very well, from having Kim Mulvatney named Teacher of the Year, the FFEA Teacher of the Year, which is awesome. She's very heavily involved into a STEAM program at Adams, so it's fun to see Kim get recognized that way. And then went on to our district meeting service pins and other awards. And then we also had Christy Hastings talk about mandated type things, mandated reporting, social media, how we work with there. Rick Brynelson from Service Co-op did our safety training. And then Kyle Bergeron really talked about run, hide, fight, and some school emergency safety practices. So it was just a great morning in the afternoon. We just really concentrated on working in our PLC. So again, one of the best workshops we've ever had. So that was a great way to kick off the year, and that preparation really helped us kick off and have a great start to the school year. The busing is good. The minor changes we meant and having traffic flowing, not parking on Freiburg, has worked wonderful. We've got cones set up in the Freiburg lot to direct traffic better. So some attention to details. We've got crossing guard over here on Randolph now, going between Roosevelt and Kennedy, both in the morning and after school. So just really made some positive changes. It just seems like we're settled in and we understand what we're doing, and it's been calm, good, so we just have to keep being safe. That's the goal, so.
Just a comment with the cones are super helpful. There was one day, I dropped off my kid at Kennedy in the morning, and there was one day the cones weren't out there. There was, I kid you not, 3 people turned left there, and it was so frustrating. So if they can continue to get those cones out, it goes so
Yeah,
much
we will do that.
smoother.
In fact,
It's
what we're
great.
looking at doing in the center of the lot as well, we'll
Mhm.
probably just add in parking there. Don't let anyone turn
That's
down the
nice,
center.
yeah.
You have to go all the way around. It allows more cars to queue up into the lot. So
Mhm.
just overall, we have a better strategy, and people are paying attention and being polite and calm. And those are good things when you're traffic around a school.
And Dean and I met with the striper last week,
Okay.
and we'll convert that center area to 8 parking spots.
Nice.
And then once that fills in, then people will
Let's go to
manually
the
turn.
Right. Well, it's
But
the
get
right,
'em
the
the
right
right
timing.
turnout.
Yeah, those are important.
Okay.
Good.
All right, thank you, Superintendent Ness. Any questions? All right, we'll move on to our general consent items, which include the minutes from our last school board meeting, and then the bills and treasurer's report. So Natalie, what do you have for us?
Well, we got our payment back from the state again. We missed that last month. So we're up about $2 million from last month. So sitting really good, about 8.2.
Wow. That's great. And Superintendent Ness, no, Elaine, you want to cover personnel?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Under certified hires, we have Vanessa Jacobson. She's going to be the elementary reading interventionist for IQ. And we have 2 small increases in contract. One would be Barb Huffman, our ESL teacher, and the other is Stephanie Fleming, language arts teacher, who will be taking another class over, or covering another class over at our area learning center. Support staff hires, Lisa Runnigan, our supervisor over at Cleveland, and Allison Rismoen. She'll be working in our cafeteria here at Kennedy Secondary School. Support staff contract changes, and these are basically all in the Catwell. They all are staff members of the cafeteria. Patty Becker, she has an increase. Brittany Monday has an increase, and then Lorraine Hicks will have a decrease in her daily hours. And so those are what I would like to present to the board for approval.
All right, very well. Is there a motion to approve the general consent items?
So moved.
And a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion on these items? All in favor of approving, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. All right, that's approved. For old business, we've got back on our radar, policy number 721, uniform grant guidance policy regarding federal revenue sources. We reviewed this at the last meeting in August. Is there a motion to approve that policy?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion on the policy?
Mark, would you like to comment?
It's just part of the things that the federal government was requiring because of whatever's happening in Washington with fraud and whatever else that they've discovered. And so the policy is required that auditors will look for it. And the basic things are that you're doing proper bidding on federal programs, such as our food service program. And the other piece is that there is a conflict of interest thing, so that, say, for example, you, Melanie, aren't somehow benefiting by your corporation getting the bid. And so
That milk one gets really close.
it gets so that's the basic thing, and it just covers for federal programs that we have within the district.
All right. Good. Any board questions or commentary? All in favor of approving that policy, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. All right. We'll move on to looking at a motion to sign a membership agreement with the Adult Basic Education Consortium, effective from July 1st through June 30th of next year. So this is an annual Adult Basic Ed agreement with Ashby Public Schools. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
And a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? Jerry, this is with Ashby Schools because why?
we provided service to them.
Okay,
So
So-
that's the agreement.
that's just an offshoot from our program here.
Yep.
Got it. Any other questions? All in favor of approving, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. All right, that's good. Is there a motion to endorse a leadership team program contract with Giant Worldwide effective from September 1st through June 30th of 2019?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
And this is what we discussed, or had a presentation to enhance the leadership team for the administration in the Fergus School District, so.
With this, I'd like to make a suggested change as far as how we're paying that. We had talked about having $1,500 come out of the staff development towards the payment of that. With all our new teachers and everything, I'd like to see the $1,500 stay in the staff development and we just fund the other $1,500 too. I mean, I think we're sitting fine with money. And last year, we burned through the staff development kind of quickly, and like I said, we've got a lot of new teachers that probably could benefit from different things than staff development fund, and I don't think the $1,500 would cripple us. So I'd like to.
Is it an annual expense or just a one?
No, just
One
one year.
time.
Yep.
So I'd like to see that $1,500 stay in the staff development
All
fund.
right. Anyone object to that? And that will just be a mechanism behind the
Yep.
scenes?
I'll withdraw the request. Yep.
All right. Any other discussion or commentary? All in favor of approving the contract, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. All right, that's approved. And then we are going to do that thing where we close the school board meeting to discuss contract negotiation strategies. And so we will officially close the meeting, have our discussion, and then reopen the meeting, and then adjourn. And then, after that, we get to stick around and have a little bit of a work session and do some more data analysis for our students and talk about staffing issues. So is there a motion to close the meeting?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor of closing, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. All right, we're closed.